Welcome to the Broker Growth Accelerator, where we discuss how real estate brokers can accelerate their growth by improving their agent recruiting and retention. I'm Jim Turner, and we're going to discuss real estate brokerage growth tactics with our special guest, who's an expert in the industry. Let's get started. My name is Jim Turner, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Brokerkit, and I'll be your host today. Today on the show, we're really excited to have John Pendleton, who is an AVP in Little Rock, Arkansas for Villa. So John is a big advocate and adopter of Brokerkit within his brokerage. He's got some great results in terms of growing his market down there in Arkansas and beyond. And we're excited to have you here today to speak to maybe some of your successes and what seems like it's working for you today, John. So thanks for joining.
Hey, Jim. Thanks for having me here. So glad to be here.
Excellent. Let's just dive in. Maybe let's start out with some history. How long have you been in the business? How did you get in? And how did you get into real estate in general and then into kind of recruiting and then being a managing broker?
I actually got licensed back in 2003. And interesting deal with myself. Within 3 years after getting licensed, I ranked number 4 in the state. I sold 146 homes in 1 year.
Was that part of a team or just solo?
No, that's just my personal numbers.
Oh man, you were working hard that year.
I was actually developed relationships out of California. I started selling investor properties out of Arkansas to California investors. In fact, my best week, I wrote 110 contracts in 1 week.
Amazing.
Yes, sir. And so in 2008, when the market basically took a turn, I started realizing get in with banks and REOs. And so I then turned around and transitioned into that. Where that's shortly after that, 2010, around there is where I met Carrington Mortgage Services and developed a long-standing relationship with them as an REO agent. And so when they got ready to open up in Arkansas, after about 18 years of sales, I had 100 closed transactions. So I've averaged about 100 sales a year. Interesting thing, I also opened my own construction company, my own development company. New construction, I did $6 million in new construction myself. And so I've just taken all of those. And when I came to Villa, that was a chance to grow a brokerage and an opportunity to turn around and expand more and further take that next step and opportunity in this industry.
And Villa is the brokerage arm of Carrington, right? So you're kind of just switching the parts of the business.
That's it. And so when Carrington decided to go ahead and move and open their own brokerage, which is basically Villa Home, that became Carrington Mortgage's sister company. And so one of the things that really made me look hard at Villa Home was because I've been with some of the best, the Remaxes, the EXPs, and that kind of stuff. Everybody has come after me with numbers like I had. Everybody's going to turn around and test you. But what stood out to me more than anything else was Villa Home has some exclusive partnerships that are only exclusive at Villa. And by having these opportunities, I mean, my agents last year alone closed over 250 transactions that were all through Villa and its partnerships and referral programs. And so I learned over the years with my experience in the REO world how to connect my agents with a lot of those companies and then show them how to use those opportunities to build on top of that. In other words, one of the things I'm best at, I know how to take a listing and turn it into 5. And that's typically how I run my business there. Business begets business.
That's a good skill to have. How many agents do you have now? What did you start at? And where do you want to be in 12 months?
Oh, man. I had 0 agents when I first started. And so even becoming a broker, I didn't even have my broker's
When would have that been, by the way, just so we know the time
that
frame?
was 2021. And so you're only talking about 3 short years ago. And so up until then, I had just ran a regular real sales agent position and everything else. But when Villa asked me, he said, hey, do you want to expand? It's something I had been working on for a while and had thought about opening up my own. But with all the challenges, I often turn around and look at being with a franchise versus being independent. And I just realized this is a chance to get with a company where you have that independent spirit, but you still have the franchise technologies, tools, and partnerships to build upon. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what attracted me more than anything else. And coming over here, I immediately do. Let's go build a brokerage. Look, I didn't have Brokerkit my first 12 months when I was with Villa, but I will say that was probably one of the best investments I think our entire company has ever chosen to do. And for me, taking the time to unlock the secrets to Brokerkit, I'll just put it this way. Our 2025 is we expect to literally probably triple in our size. I've got 130 agents right now. We're looking to recruit 250 over the next 12 months. And with our broker kit systems that we have in place, right now I have amassed a database of 64,000 agents in my area.
Nice, nice.
Yes,
I
sir.
like the confidence. Yeah. And the results so far, right? They speak for themselves. That's great.
Thank
Tell us, what is the territory geographically, but also kind of the niche that you're targeting? I mean, there's 64,000 agents, which is huge. What are you going after, basically?
Oh, super easy. First off, I need leadership in all 20 to 30 of my top cities. And interesting thing, when I joined Villa, it was to open up in Arkansas, and kind of got that pat on the back after the first year and said, "Hey, man, you did so good. Would you like Oklahoma?" And then got that pat on the back about 6 months later and said, "Hey, would you like to open up Louisiana?" My numbers kind of stand for themselves. And so opening, what happened is my team leads our organization pretty much almost every month in highest production amongst my agents. How I
Mm-hmm.
do that is I do an intense mentoring program using Brokerkit systems, and have unlocked that technology as well of how to set up a master class in training through Brokerkit, so that way my agents, even when they come on board, can start producing as quickly as possible. I've learned that if you get an agent productive within the first 60 to 90 days, they are probably about 90% more likely to succeed over the next 12 months than those who don't. And so I
Mm-hmm.
do an intense program using Brokerkit. I actually have 35 points of contact set up on my first campaign in Brokerkit for any agent over the first 30 days they join my team. It teaches them
Okay.
how to use
You're
all the
lighting
Villa
them up,
systems.
man.
Yes,
Keep them
brother.
busy.
Why not? You think about it, there's so much to learn in our industry. You have to learn contracts. You have to learn what your company offers you. You have to learn different strategies and everything else. Jim,
Right.
this is amazing. I can turn around and, like I said, within the first 30 days, reach out and touch base with an agent 35 times and already have it pre-set up. Jim,
Yeah, that's amazing.
you
Doing
know
that
what I'll
manually would
follow up in my
be,
second month? You ought to
yeah.
see it. It's a master plan then of how to use open houses and how to build a master database. Third
Mm-hmm.
month, I've already set up REOs and partnership trainings. Fourth month, I got commercial and luxury. Fifth month, I've got lakefront, and then we roll into everything else, multifamily, everything. So you see
Love
how I
it.
can centralize not Brokerkit just to use for my recruiting, but Brokerkit to enhance my retention.
And is that, you described it by month? Do you have like a separate campaign for each month where it's
I
dripping
do.
them, where it's a plan for each month and you have kind of a focus on each of them?
I do. And the reason why I designed it like that is I could have set this up for like a full revolving 365 days. And look, what I realized, Jim, is that by breaking it up by months, let's say I got an agent who comes on who tells me from day one they're interested in commercial. Why
Yeah.
waste time getting them to commercial training and teaching them REO training when I can turn around and expedite their training into commercial and send them literally that? And when I say training, I don't mean simple training like what most brokerages do. What we want to do is take the best articles, the best skills, the best minds from my entire 3 states. I take the leadership minds from all across the United States that Villa has accumulated. And what we do is we put that into a 30-day master class. So when you come to our team, do you see how you're going to get training in every one of those categories, which makes our agents more well-rounded?
Competing for agents has gotten intense out there, right? It's a very competitive marketplace, especially for productive agents. Like how do you position your organization in Villa in general to set you apart?
One of the first questions everybody asks is, well, does this company offer leads? Our
Yep.
company does. And in fact, our company is the only major national franchise company in the entire nation who has a partnership with a major mortgage lender. Not only
Mm-hmm.
that, but that partnership also extends into companies that they service, which now our base of companies that you can sign on to when you first join Villa is 14 companies. Just the other day, one of my agents literally received the first lead from a new company that we just joined on to. Her very first lead was an $800,000 listing. How many agents
Wow.
out there right now would love a lead system like that? And guess what?
Yep.
No upfront costs, free, and there's no overhead. We don't even charge E&O at Villa Home. And that's a thing that sets us apart. So when I'm setting up my campaigns, you see how I can literally show those values, because that's the main thing, Jim, that I've learned is don't go and use the campaigns to say, come join us. No, use the campaigns to share your success stories. If you do that,
Yep.
you'll build a better rapport with the agents when you do want them to join.
Well, you'll create the FOMO, right? The fear of missing out, that they want to hear more, basically, about
I
other
love that one. I
successes, right?
haven't heard I haven't heard it spun like that, but I love FOMO right there. That's a good one, Jim. I'm going to use that one.
And those leads you're talking about, those are from the other affiliate companies or sister companies within Carrington, like the mortgage side. So it's kind of, is it referrals within the business that then are becoming leads for your agents?
Well, you got to think about it. You can work so many different strategies, because you think about it like this. All right. If I create a campaign for my base of agents that I've downloaded, where do I get those? First off, where do I get those databases? Well, every state, you just got to unlock the secrets to finding those agents. Second off, I'm already on more MLS systems than most brokers. I've got 20. So if you know how to download and CSV the information. And by the way, let me just say this. I have no skills, but yet I have found people and gotten help through Brokerkit to help me understand how to do that. Second off, what I love about Brokerkit is a lot of times when you download these CSVs or these file lists, Jim,
Mm-hmm.
they're not compatible to Brokerkit. But when we tell you something, what I love, every single time I send that list to Brokerkit, it gets uploaded.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
team makes it compatible. And that's the only reason why I've been able to database. Could you imagine me trying to sit there and type in 64,000 agents?
Right. 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 Yeah. Data is a little bit of a mess in the MLS world. So anything we can do to make it easier for folks, we try to do. So now let's talk about your ideal agent. I mean, out of the 64, let's like narrow it down. Like who's a good fit? Like who do you prefer to bring on board, whether it's based in production, their core values or their personality, or like what are you looking for in agents out there?
Man, that's a great question, because first off, really what I need leadership. I need leadership in all the different areas. What I want to do is be a mentor to somebody who wants to be a broker, wants to come in and establish their own brand in any one of these major cities across these states that we have. Because this is why they're going to be the one that knows the local talent. They're the ones doing the extra deals, because if you can get that local talent there, what I've realized, then they can maximize what we have with Brokerkit. Because to give you a good example, if I go in and I just try to recruit, let's say Tulsa, now I'm trying to just go and get 20 agents. Well, what about New Orleans? What about Little Rock? What about Bentonville? So do you see where I need the leader first? Or I
Oh
need
yeah.
somebody there that I can start and jumpstart, because they're going to be the ones who does the deals with the other agents. And so now you can work up co-op plans. Now you can set up a campaign that you just did a co-op deal. Hey, I loved working with you. Please come holler at me for lunch sometime and let's get together.
Yeah. So I love it because So our philosophy here at Brokerkit is, right, all businesses and really brokerages too have two primary funnels or pipelines they need to manage, the sales funnel and the talent funnel. And we felt like there was a lot of technology and a focus on the sales side, but less so on the talent side. So we tried to put in kind of a system and platform around scaling your business by focusing on the talent funnel. But there's so many people that get caught up in the sales side that they have trouble prioritizing the talent side when we believe the talent side brings much more scale and you can scale your business. And it's very lucrative if you kind of focus on that side. And you're not just focusing on hiring, you're basically saying, I'm focusing on the talent and growing my producing agents below me versus working on sales. But you've gone beyond that, right? Because you're not just looking for
Correct.
agents below you, you're looking for leaders who are bringing on agents below you, right?
Correct.
Which is bringing not only just focusing on the talent funnel, focusing on leaders in the talent funnel who then bring in the talent below them, which is amazing.
Jim, as that right there, everybody else, like all the box stores, they're selling franchises. So if I want to go open a brokerage, let's say with EXP, Remax, or one of the other competition, I literally got a price or a check I got to write. Do you see
Yep.
how I can literally source talent in an area and say, here's a brokerage? Here is a
Right.
brokerage opportunity. Go, and I'm not only going to do that, but through Brokerkit, I'm going to help you and provide you the systems and everything else to recruit in your area. I can literally
Right.
bring a broker on in any area, and they can send me names, and we can set them up on campaigns. Where now I'm growing not one brokerage at a time in local areas, but with 20 or 30 leaders, I could be growing 20 to 30 brokerages at a time.
Right, right. Well, and so one of the things is obviously as brokerages get bigger, they have kind of more maturity around these things. But a lot of and some of our listeners are going to be kind of earlier on in their journey. And you started, right, selling, but you transitioned from sales to kind of a broker and then building the talent below you.
Yes,
For the
sir.
people that are out there that are kind of caught in, they know they need to do it, but they're caught in sales, right? But they're having trouble prioritizing it. And then they get dragged into sales, but they really want to grow their business. What's your advice to them, basically?
And I think we're all having that same issue. And here's one of the challenges, like with Villa, even for myself. Not only do I have to grow, you got to think about it, I'm running a successful team. We're closing anywhere from, man, we've had 60, 70 transactions closed. How many contracts am I signing across 3 states? So you can only imagine what I'm doing. Plus, I'm working on the retention and everything else. But
Yeah.
here's where literally our broker kit systems can help scale and make everything what we need available. Because you see, I put in the systems, number one, for the training. Now, even as a leader, you see where now a leader can come with us with literally turnkey, because you already got systems for retention and training already in place. Then using our broker kit recruiting systems, I've now databased all the agents in that area. Here's what I'll say for new agents taking those first steps. I wouldn't be at where I'm at today if I looked at the elephant I've created so far. Why? Because you can't eat that elephant trying to think about eating that big old mass. You got to take it one bite at a time. My
Yeah.
first thing was I had to reach out first. I had to schedule time to learn, and I put that in. So one of the things I'm doing now is I'm actually trying to teach other team leaders how to block off that time. If you don't
Yeah.
block off that time and you don't do that for you, who is? So if you're a
Eh,
leader and you don't have anybody to lead, who are you leading? And that's what I share with my team.
Right. And so I'm curious what you're recommending because I mean, I try to tell everybody, look, if you're a managing broker, I got it. You have other things. You can't be 100% on recruiting. You're not a recruiter, right? You've got an office to manage, onboarding, deal doctoring, all that. But just go into your calendar, block in the morning, at least 30 minutes, if not an hour every day. Put it in your calendar, block it out, and stick with it. So, what do you think about that? And what are you counseling the other team leaders out there?
I'm literally telling my team leaders, if you work on recruiting even 1 hour a week, I can show you how to use Brokerkit and reach anywhere from 25 to 100 contacts a week. I can show you how to look at your MLS system, and this is how I got started from day one. First, you got to think about low hanging fruit. All right. And as a broker and a leader, you can't be scared. Do you have everything set up for your team when they come on that you know what the next steps are? If you've gotten this far, the answer is probably yes. If not, you should look at some of that stuff because have that set up first. So I know I've got systems and setups already in place. So now I can freely recruit. My thing is what I did with Villa was started with low hanging fruit. And what I mean by that is it's not hard to look at my MLS and see which agents aren't producing. My thing is I know I can bring in agents. I've got the numbers that have shown. I've got brand new agents who have come in and done 57 transactions in their first full year with Villa Home through my system. I've got agents who have closed 33 transactions their first full year with us after being in the business for 7 years and having a high of only 7 closings. So my thing is, I was not afraid to reach out to low hanging fruit. But it's amazing to me how many people will be at these offices, Jim. And you know this, it's like I can offer them more in commissions. I can offer them the world and everything else, and they are not going to leave. My suggestion is you still take the no's. You still treat it just like you was told in real estate. Take those 20 no's till you get a yes. And then if you keep doing that, now you turn around and every time somebody tells you no, set them up on a drip campaign with subliminal messages. You're missing me. You're missing me. Now, do you see how I built my team, brother?
The Get Yes campaign. And also ABC, always be closing, right?
Always be closing.
You seem to take that to heart. So where you mentioned kind of some lists and data and finding the agents before and 64,000. So like, where are you getting them from? What are the data sources?
Crazy, every state is different. But my only thing is, no matter which state you're in, start looking what your sources are. So start with your real estate commissions. Then look at your MLS. Can I CSV through that data on the MLS? All right. You have some states that have clear no cooperation rules about sharing info. You do. I understand that. My 3 states, I'm fortunate because I've been able to source data amongst a huge list.
Yep. So back to the state licensees. I'm in Colorado. Colorado, you can't get the full contact information. There's certain states like I know Florida, Ohio, you can get full contact information. New York and California, you can't. You got to go look it up somehow. Do you get it in your states? Like you can download it from the state with the full contact information off the state website? Yeah. So you're lucky there. So that's obviously a good source. What about real estate schools? Do you work with, do you have one internally and that's a source of leads?
So this is what we got going for real estate schools. I actually have local team leaders that what I do is I send them to the real estate schools. They then get the list from the real estate school after they've made contact there. And then we immediately put them into Brokerkit and set up a campaign. Success story, testimonials. This is all I'm sending them. Why? Because all I want them to do is just see themselves with that same success at Villa Home.
And are these local real estate schools? Are they nationwide ones, like a web-based one, like a CE Shop? And
these
how are
local. These are how you tackle the local schools. I haven't figured out how to get any national databases. Now, I will say that your real estate commission also may offer lists. Oklahoma, again, that's another state that offers. You can get the brand new list from Oklahoma every 2 weeks, and it's got 100 new applicants on it. I mean, imagine having that lead source to source from.
So you talked about real estate schools, the MLS data, and the state lists. What else? What else are you using to find the contacts
that you're looking at? Those are the main sources to me, but it's interesting because long before I had Brokerkit, anytime like if I want to open up in an area, this is a system that I learned to use. Let's just say Fayetteville, Arkansas. If I'm wanting to go in and I don't have any agents yet in Fayetteville, but I'm not on their MLS, how do I figure out which agents are there? Well, that's super easy. Go to realtor.com. Hit find agent. If you do that, literally it's going to pull hundreds of agents in that area. All you now got to do is start putting them in your database and just start hitting drip campaign.
Probably the same thing on Zillow, I would guess too, right?
And then you think about now you get the first agent or two in that area. Now you have the income streams readily. So now you sign up to that MLS. Now you have that full database unlocked. That's when you start making the magic happen.
So you got your list. Let's say you're going into a new market, and obviously it sounds like you're using broker to reach out, and you're using campaigns. How are you trying to start the conversations? What's the messaging, and how do you try to get replies basically to start that conversation with them?
We spend a lot of time on that. All right. And so one of the things that I do, and this is one of the interesting things I'm doing, like with my team leader group right now. Look, some of my early messages was just straight and direct. Hi, I'm John Pendleton with Villa Home. I'm looking for somebody to come lead my team in your area, or I'm looking for an agent to come help me with some REOs, because I've always tried to go into an area with intent. It's no different than what I used to use when I was trying to go get a new builder or a new client. You use intent. It's like when you go and market a neighborhood, and why I'm so successful throughout my career is I always use intent. And if I use intent to go into that neighborhood, we're going to conquer it. If I use intent to go in that MLS, I'm going to go in there, and you got to think about it. If I got 5,000 agents and all I need is 20 agents in that market to dominate that market, that's an easy number for me, my friend.
So is it mainly email, text? Are you doing social media? Are you calling? Is it some mix?
I use everything, including y'all's video. I actually send video messages, texts, and set up basically my first message. Like you said, it's that first message. That might come from me personally or whatever, but then I'm going to roll them into campaign. My campaign, including my training, we're going to use your video technology. We're going to use the AI functions on it. We're going to turn around and make sure every word is correct. We're going to draft out specifically. And what we want to do is each month, this is what we want to do. We don't want to sit here and spend our whole month with that group. Let's say I finally database that. I don't want to spend that whole month. Come join me. No. Success story, opportunities to join our referral network, which means opportunities that you can get leads and listings, opportunities for tips, and again, go back in and talk about what your company offers that maybe the others don't. Hey, we just picked up this new partnership company, which gave us another 120 lead sources last month. If you just share that 4 to 5 times a month, Jim, do you now see where I can now use targeted actions by my team leaders in those areas? Because we've already built up the base. Hey, this is who Villa is. This is what we did. Yep. This is the success story. So I don't want to use that part of the campaign to go and recruit. I want the recruiting coming from, like, even for myself. If I now see you on there and you've been getting that steady drip campaign, now do you see how, oh, this is John from Villa reaching out from me. That's that company that keeps showing all these success stories. Let me talk to this guy and see what he can do for me.
So you're dripping the content, right? And that's messages and using video, using the AI assist, using emails, text. Are you calling them, or are they responding back to those messages and you're just setting up appointments off that?
They're responding.
Okay, so you're not cold calling basically. You're using the content.
No, I hate cold calling, brother.
Okay, love it. Okay, so and we had another one of these recently in a webinar where someone basically said, I send a video every week and I don't ever cold call. People come to me. So That's great. I love hearing that. That's what it's there for. And for the record, anybody listening, John's one of our power users, and we can see what our power users are doing, and what he just described is what they're doing pretty consistently. So that's great. So now you have a conversation. What are some of the common objections you hear, and how do you handle them?
Well, first off, this is what I've learned, and if I could share any secrets about the interview, let me start off with this. Jim, what are your goals? What would you like to do? Where would you like to be in life? Why did you get your real estate license? In other words, do you see how, Jim, I've now set you up to tell me about you? So that's how you should start each conversation. And do you know how many times I get done with my interviews and it's a one interview lock and done. In fact, I got 2 ICAs, 2 new hires I got to send out today off of just literally doing a 30-minute interview with both of them. Call and close, you're wanting to join, and here's why. Because if I
Yep.
focus on you from the start, what I get back from several of my agents is, wow, nobody's actually even considered why I got in real estate. Nobody asked me that before. Nobody asked
Right.
me what I wanted. Nobody asked me why I got in or what I expect or what I need. So you see how if I focus on that first and I say, Mr. Jim, I would love to know what your goals and dreams are. Why did you get in real estate? Where would you like to head to? Where do you see yourself in the next year? Now, by your answers, do you see how I can answer and respond?
Yep. Yep. Love it. Love
And
it.
now I also understand what it is that you're looking for in a brokerage.
Yep. And then I would assume you just focus on that and try to make it happen, and they just automatically close, right?
That's it, brother. That's it. Like I said, one call shop or one call, and I send out the ICAs. And I do that probably on, I'd say probably 75-80% of all calls.
And so, what's your close rate on an appointment or some kind of conversation to an appointment and then appointment to close? Do you know what those close rates are?
I really
Like,
don't. And like I said, we're just literally starting to really tap in even right now. I mean, all the systems that I have talked to you about, I'm literally building them out as we're going.
yep,
I'm literally
yep,
building out these amazing campaigns that I have visioned for the last year. My biggest thing is I had to learn this. And then now I'm taking it to my team and teaching my
right,
group of leadership how to use this. And so what we're seeing is that their responses to this, I literally over the last week have had 6 one-on-ones with my leadership, just showing them the easiness of Brokerkit along with the systems we have set up. And every one of them says within 30 minutes to an hour, they could literally feel like they could reach out to 100 people every month. And you know what that does for them? Because now they can work on their brand. They can work on their agents. They can work on their retention, and they can work on what's best for their business and our entire brokerage for that area.
right. And you have them working on it for you, which is even better.
That's one thing I love, man. Our partnership. Come on now, this is amazing. I mean, it really is. For Villa, a big brokerage like ourselves and everything else, up and coming. You can use all the adjectives everybody wants to use, but the bottom line of it is literally, if we start looking at all 40 of our states that we're already open in, and we literally start databasing every one of those agents, it's going to be hard to actually even approach us against anybody else as far as our database goes. And when you got a database like that and you treat it the right way, what I've learned is it returns to you. It's not all about just trying to take from that database, but you got to give that database. And that's why I often say offer other people opportunities to join our referral programs. That way, if
Right.
they can join our referral programs, they can get with some of our partnerships and start seeing some of the values and things we offer right from the start.
So then moving on to kind of onboarding and retaining the agents, you've touched on some of that before, but you're on pretty spread out, right? I mean, there's not just kind of one office that everybody's coming into. Does everybody have offices in these local markets, or is this
No,
more virtual? And then how are you keeping in touch with everybody? Is it mainly with the campaigns and kind of virtual? Like, how do you keep your
man,
head in the game, so to speak?
that's a great question because honestly, that's what I was struggling with really before I started unlocking Brokerkit. I was really struggling because you think about it. How many times do I have to teach BPO training or REO training or commercial training? And let's say I have a session with you and we go an hour deep in it. I might not even scratch the top of really all the things we need to be talking about in that one type of training. But then you
Right.
multiply that times 130 agents. So what I've learned is that instead of trying to repeat myself or trying to figure out who I've told or trying to turn around and factor all that in, what I've learned, and that's why I went to the systems that I did, Jim, by creating out the training and master classes there. I've got everybody set to get that at certain times. I've also got tasking set up. So you don't go through a course without several tasks, because we use that task system. And I love that task bar, by the way. That task bar allows me to know when somebody finished the course or when they completed something. Or it also allows me to put a task that I need them to respond. So you see where I'm actually gaining engagement and cooperation and building, like I said, building that rapport, that connection right there. Because actually what I've learned is when I send out your video, every time one of my agents opens up your video, I get an email. You know how nice that is? Because now I can respond to that email right then, Jim, and I can say, hey, Jim, how'd you like that email and everything? What'd you learn on that?
How does that go? Like, how do they usually respond?
I actually got this literally from my team 5 months ago, and this really what made me really go deep and hard into really building out some of the systems in Brokerkit. One of my team leaders, one of my actual brokers, actually says, John, you know what? You get more mentoring, you get more advice, you get more companies, you get more everything than any broker I've ever been with. But there's just something missing. Jim, when I created these training systems, man, you ought to see the involvement I'm getting this. When I send out a video, like I said, to my 130 agents, man, my email is just blowing up because I've got every one of them now getting on there. And before, I'd send that stuff out and wouldn't have the follow-up that I get with Brokerkit. And so what's great about that is now in real time, I can see who's getting on. I got people jumping on at 1 a.m. in the morning. How surprising it is when I can shoot them and forward that video and say, hey, man, I see you looking at me at 1 a.m. in the morning.
Little insomnia.
That's it.
Time to listen to some John, man. It's 1 a.m. and I can't sleep.
I love it, brother. I love it because you think about that as a broker and as a leader, and you got somebody like me who can give that training. You think about how many agents are failing out in this business today because they don't have leadership pointing them in the right direction.
Right. Well, so I love hearing about just getting the notifications on the videos. What triggered that is we actually have another big customer who's like a large Century 21 franchise. And there was kind of a director of growth who said, well, if I trigger campaigns as them, as the managers, like the managers that it's hard to get to recruit, if I trigger it and it has videos and they get the notification, I can get them to call the person. Getting them to cold call really hard, but getting to calling somebody that just watched your video much easier because they're like, oh, I was just watching your video. And they know it's going to be a great conversation. They know who you are. They just like watched it, right? And so we did it for them and it worked super well, right? And something you should consider for your own market leaders too, triggering on their behalf and just call them. And they'll be good calls. They will be, right?
Jim, that's exactly right. And that's exactly what I've done. When I get that, and let's just say this is one of my team leaders, one of my brokers, let's say in Tulsa, and I need to let them know that Kevin Jackson, who's on their team, just signed in. I can just forward that email over there to my team leader and they know to respond. What this has done is made even my mentorship and leadership training into there. And by the way, I'm also working on a new team leader program where I can actually help my agents learn how to become their own brokers and literally put that program in. Well, really, when I get done with this, my entire ideal is have a great database of training, resources, and tools that I can use on a regular basis with any type of agent at any level, at any stage of their game.
Right. I love the use of the video and the training and bringing scale by taking the time to create the content and just pushing it out. That's what we're talking today, right? I can see the stats. The content you're creating, a lot of people are going to benefit from it, right? But I pretty regularly, I jump on a call and I'm about to tell someone something and they're like, oh, well, I kind of already listened to the podcast. You don't need to kind of pitch me. I already know. I have a couple questions. It's because they've seen it and they've listened to it and it increases your impact, really, right? Because if you put out good content, people watch it, it brings you leverage. Just like the talent funnel, the content itself brings leverage.
Well, you think about like this also. There are people who just can't read something and take the message away that they need. By
Right.
adding the video content, what I've now done is created more ways because everybody learns differently. I
Yep.
am a guy who just I can listen and I'm going to take out of it better than trying to read and assess. What this does is I can number one use your AI features. I can put my video in. I can now use the AI features to sculpt my messaging to fit my video. Boom,
Yep.
I'm done. Now do you
Yep.
see where I've given a visual and that way you got both ways of training there?
This reminds me, in the startup world, there's a guy that's kind of famous, an influencer with tech startups called Naval Ravikant. And his whole concept is traditionally businesses had two ways to scale: capital and labor, right? You raise money to do something, or you get loans, and then you hire people and have them do stuff. That was the way you could
Correct.
scale. The modern company, you still have those things, right? And that's the talent funnel. You're bringing the agents below you and you're scaling by using the people, right? But what's new is code and content. Those are what is basically, you have an unfair advantage if you know how to use them now that didn't exist historically.
Yeah.
Businesses throughout history have had capital and labor. Only very recently has content and code work, where you bring scale with those two, and people good at it have an unfair advantage essentially. And it's just the software automation and then the content pushing it out both, and you're leveraging both, and that's what we were saying essentially.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And you take a good look at this, and it's even like being a realtor today. I ask a lot of my realtors, are you a realtor or a content creator? Because if you're not thinking about being a
Yeah.
content creator, you need to really start thinking about like this. The people who've got the biggest databases are successful. I've got a guy on my team who just started with me
Yeah.
3 years ago, and he said, John, I don't want any of the leads, listings, or anything else that you got. I want to build a luxury system. I said, brother, this is exactly how you do it using our systems. Today,
Yeah.
he's got over 112,000 contacts and followers already on his system. He's now
Yep.
opening up his second brokerage in Dallas, a luxury brand. Today, we can utilize the features that Brokerkit has to create some of the most amazing content. And the
Yep.
content, if you think about it, like I said, again, it's like I can put literally TED Talk masterclass content together through my Brokerkit that's going to train my agents better and more effectively than any
Right.
other system that I have found.
In the earlier days in Brokerkit, I was very focused on marketing. What I realized, and this is partly working with mentors, is it's all about the product and the customer success. Because
Yep.
if customers successful and they get results, like, you don't need to pay for marketing. Marketing is a tax you pay for mediocrity, right? If you're good at what you do, everybody will hear about it and they'll come to you. It's all about my service is to you, the software and the customer success team you're talking about,
Yep.
right? Your service to these agents is the coaching and the leads, right? And the
Right.
structure you're bringing to them, right? And if you're good at that, your agents are successful, word of mouth will spread. They'll come to you, right? And you're not
There you
and you're
go.
not burning money on like Facebook ads or something, which is paying the tax for mediocrity essentially.
Jim, I'm glad you brought that up because the funny part is if you actually go and try to look me up, even though I've been one of the top salesmen in the state, you know, I never run ads. Everything I
Yeah.
do is just word of mouth. That's even when I got into this business, it was through my restaurants, and every one of our restaurants we opened because of word of mouth. And so you give a good product, you give good service, and that's what I think literally Brokerkit gives me advantage on. It gives me a great product that I can give my team the education, the tools, and techniques I need to deliver to them on a regular basis. Like I
Right.
said,
Right.
I've got it set up. If you join my team, you're talking about anywhere from 20 to 30 points of contact monthly from me and my leadership team. How many other brokerages can say that?
Yeah. No, very few people. Well, we've covered a lot, John. Let me ask one kind of final question, right? You've talked about your progression. You're further along than maybe some of the people that are listening. Maybe just my last question would be looking back on where you were when you were getting started. What are the things you wish you knew then that you've learned along the way that would have sped up getting there, basically?
Oh, man. Definitely would have turned around, not spent a whole year just looking at Brokerkit, knowing I got it, would have jumped on it a whole year sooner. The time and investment, honestly, that you need to take is worth it. And if, again, that's what I always say. If you're not willing to take the steps for you, then who is? And so when you got an amazing tool like Brokerkit, I was just telling this to one of our leadership earlier today. Having Brokerkit and not knowing what it is like parking a Lamborghini in your garage and not even telling the person that you parked it in that they got a Lamborghini. Because honestly, you think about the constant contact we've talked about today that I can provide my team and also those in my database with success stories about Villa. What that does is it leverages every tool for me in both areas that I don't have to stay constantly thinking about that. I can set it up, I can hit run, and now I can go get on one-on-ones, which really, when you get down to it, that's what you had talked about earlier. How do you know who to get with one-on-one? How do you turn around and know who to reach out? Well, with Brokerkit, because I can see the response, number one, I can set up a time to get with those who haven't responded. And number two, those who have responded, it makes it easy to get back with them.
Love it. That's pretty much it for today. If our listeners have any questions for you, where would they be able to find you online, I guess?
Oh, yeah. Holler at me anytime. Feel free to look up on the Villa site. I'm also at my number's 501-350-4527. I don't even have nothing, all this extra special stuff set up, Jim. But yet,
That's
like I said,
the
man,
first time anybody's given their cell phone, man. That you were a killer, dude.
Come on, bro.
I love it.
Hey, if
I
you
love
want
it.
to do business and you want to turn around and lock in, you want to learn. I'm one of those guys. I don't care what state, where you're at, whatever. Let's collaborate, because to me, that's the only way we learn.
Love it. So, John, thanks for joining today. Some really insightful stuff. Appreciate the stories. And then thanks to all our listeners for taking the time to listen in. Hopefully you learned something today. Think about it, put some of this into practice, and please tune in for future episodes. Thanks so much. Have a great day.